How's it going, everybody? I'm Drifty from Driftwood Gaming, and in this RPG Maker MV video, I'm going to show you how I replicate the warrior from Final Fantasy XI. So there's quite a few things in this tutorial, and this is basically just a template that you can use to take pieces or all of to add to your project if you want to add the warrior from Final Fantasy XI into your project. So let's get started. So go to your classes and you can add the warrior. We're also going to jump over to types, and we're going to add warrior ability. Now you can rename this to whatever you want, you know, like fervor, or think of a cool name for the type. It's completely up to you. Equipment types that I have here are quite a few. You probably don't want to use this many. It's just going to bog down the project. You know, in hindsight, I should have eliminated some of these, but here's the ones that I have. You could pretty much copy them off the screen if you want, but we're going to kind of keep it moving. So I'll give you a second. Alright, let's jump back to the classes. So the warrior doesn't have too many abilities. We're scaling him from 1 to 99. Well, actually 96 is when his last ability is happening. I'm using class-based parameters, plugin from Yanfly. I'm using a lot of Yanfly plugins to make this work, right? You could do it this way, or you could use the parameter curves. For the formulas that I'm using, I recommend using class-based parameters, as most of the following videos where I showcase class spotlights, I'm going to have them all balanced with the class-based parameters. So if you want to follow the following series, you might want to kind of copy these numbers. So right off the bat, we've got max HP equal to level times 160 plus 100. Now the plus number is going to be the same for all classes, just enough HP to get them started. So if they use MP, they're going to start with 50 plus whatever their average is, and HP is going to be 100. But this number will be different for most classes, so this is 160. Moving down, no MP, we're actually going to get rid of the MP bar. ATK is level times 7, defense level times 7, magic attack level times 3, magic defense level times 3, agility level times 5, luck level times 5. And then what we're going to do is use a swap gauge, another Yanfly plugin, where we're getting rid of the MP bar because the warrior doesn't have any MP, no spells that actually use magic points. So we're going to just get rid of that bar so it doesn't clutter up the menu more. So we're going to do swap gauge 2 and just type in null. That'll get rid of it. Then what we're going to do, these are different skills in my game. You could just skip past these. But for how I'm handling it, I'm using another Yanfly plugin to specify what each class can wear, and pretty much the warrior gets everything. So you really don't, that's completely optional. And then the icon, you can specify what the icon looks like if you're using the class change core. Just pick an icon that you want. Alright, so let's look at the traits now. All my classes are going to have preserved TP, but that's optional. You can always use Yanfly's enhanced TP to just toggle it so you don't have to add this special flag to all your classes if you actually wanted to preserve TP. I've got enhanced TP off right now, but I'll probably use it later on. So I've upped this target rate 10% because as a warrior you'd want the warrior to be targeted more, and you think they would be more menacing. And so this is, like I said, it's a template. Change it however you want. It's 100 by default. I've upped hit rate 1%, so it's up to 96%. Evasion rate is at 6%, which I've upped. Critical rate, I've also upped 1% to 5%. I kind of put all of my critical rates standard baseline at 5%, just because I think, you know, 5% is like rolling a 20 on a D20. So that makes sense to me as that should be a critical. The weapons that I'm using could be completely different from your game. Give the warrior most weapons because warriors can use a lot of different types of weapons as part of their strength. In this game, warriors can use flails, axes, spears, and swords. And probably if I add new weapons, which I don't think I will, already have too many, I would probably let the warrior use those as well. Not all weapons, but most weapons probably. General armor, light armor, heavy armor, large shield, small shield, whatever types of defense, because a warrior is a damage dealer, but it's also a tank. It's made to take damage, so you want to give the warrior the ability to use most armors that you create if you have special classes. I'm also giving all my classes limit bursts. It's like when you get your TP to 100%, completely optional. And we need to award that new type we created, the warrior ability. Warriors get a passive trait, but as I've stated before, the game can start to lag if you have too many passive states. So I had to kind of abolish most of the passive state things that I was doing with my project. So to compensate for that, I'm just awarding extra swings to certain classes. The warrior is being one of those classes that gets an extra swing, so I'm adding attack times +1 to all of the warrior's attacks. Now in Final Fantasy XI, the warrior has a resistance to poison via passive states, but like I said before, we're eliminating passive states to cut down on lag and keep up optimization. So I'm adding right here in the traits a state rate of poison times 50%, which means he's going to be 50% resistant to all poison attacks, which also kind of stacks. So if you get attacked with a skill that has inflict or add state poison times 100%, that means the skill would have a 100% chance to land after before the traits are calculated. So if the warrior gets attacked with a skill that says 100% chance to poison, it gets cut in half. So it's going to be 50%. So if a spell would poison 60% of the time, it's actually going to poison the warrior 30% of the time. Hopefully that makes sense. I did the same thing for all of the poison-based, venom-based debuffs in the game. Like in this game, I've got poison and bio. So the warrior is resistant to damage over time effects from poison and bio by 50%. Not 50% resistance, but 50% chance to be inflicted by that state. Cool. So let's move on to the skills that we've got for the warrior. Like I said, not too many for the warrior over a course of 99 levels. So let's jump into them. So first of all, we're going to use our main ability, right? Our 2 hour, as it were, which is turned into a 1 hour, which is translated into MV as a longer cooldown ability. So how I'm handling my abilities in this game, and like I said, template, you can change it up however you want. I'm using Yanfly's skill cooldown plugin so that all of the skills that the warrior can use, none of them take up the turn at all. They're all instants. They all happen and then you still keep your turn. But how do you stop that from being overpowered or broken is you add a cooldown. So on Mighty Strikes we've got a 30 turn cooldown, and but you can do that by putting cooldown and then the number of turns you want it to be in brackets. Also by adding instant, you're going to let the player use that ability on their turn and then still attack or do an item or whatever. So those are the note tags that we're going to be using, cooldown and instant, for all of these abilities. We also need to set the skill type in that new type that we created, Fervor, Warrior's ability, whatever you want to call it, right? I'm not making the skills cost any MP or any TP because Warrior doesn't get MP, and TP is going to be used for limit bursts, which are, basically you build up your TP to 100% and then you execute a stronger move instead of spending TP over time when you get 20 or 30 or 40. But this is a template, use it however you want. So the scope for this is the user. You're not going to be allowed to put Mighty Strikes on another person, another party member. So this is a self-cast. And occasion battle screen only because it just wouldn't make much sense to use it out of combat because it's only going to last for a certain number of rounds. Let's go to the states and look at what this state does, because I've created custom animations for all these, but you can put whatever animations you want. This is going to be a certain hit, no damage formula, and doesn't gain any TP or anything. But what this basically does is it makes all of your hits turn into critical hits, and it gives you 30% attack power bonus. So how you manage to do that is in the effects you add state, which is on it's on state, and you add state. So let's see what number this is, 251. So let's look at state 251. Scrolling down to 251. Here is Mighty Strike. So this is a 2 hour ability or a 30 turn ability. So I've got the priority pretty high on this. No restriction or motion or anything. What we're going to do is set it to turn in, last 5 to 5 rounds. And we're going to give it an extra parameter of critical rate plus 100%. That means it's going to make every hit critical. and we're going to do parameter attack power times 130%. That's going to give you a 30% bonus to your attack power. So another thing you could do is put physical critical rate plus 100% in the note tags if you're using the critical core. Now I thought this only works on skills. I threw it in here just to see if it would work. I don't think you need this. I think this note tag only works on skills, but I'm just leaving it in here just to make sure that if something has if I put like a state later on that reduces critical chance on targets that get hit by it, this might bypass that. So I'm not sure if it will or not. Like I said, might be, you can exclude that. I'm also using Visual State Effects plugin from Yanfly, and if you want to use this plugin, I recommend it. You can use it by just basically putting the plugin in. It's almost plug and play. You just go state animation and pick a number of the animation you want to be played over and over on the character when that state is active. So that's it for Mighty Strikes. Let's go back to Provoke. Alright, so Provoke is a skill that taunts an enemy into attacking only that target. So we're going to give it the type for the warrior. You can use this text code /IT to show what state it's inflicting. So if you go /IT, that's going to take the state number 23. It's going to draw the icon for that and then name it in the description there. I'm also putting the cooldown duration in the description so the player can see how long it's going to be. That's optional. This is going to be a scope of one enemy, battle screen only, certain hit, and whatever you want to have it to do. But we're going to basically have it add two states, provoked and distracted. Provoke and distract. So if you plan on making a thief with the critical strike ability that I've made, which I'll show you how to do in a later tutorial when I show you the thief, then you might want to keep distracted. If you don't want to do that, or you don't know if you will, you might not even need to add it yet. But basically you need to add the provoked state, so we have to create that. Before we jump to the states, you'll see that it's got a cooldown of 3 and it's also an instant. So let's look at that state. For provoked, we've got the priority of 50, remove at the end of the battle, turn end, and then we've got a duration of 5 to 5. So what we're doing here is we're ignoring physical taunt, ignoring magical taunt, ignoring certain taunt, and we've got a little bit of code, not too much for this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this code, I can't put brackets in the description. I'll edit this video and I'll put this code up in big letters. It's probably already up right now if I've done it right. So I don't have to read through it, but you can basically pause the video and copy it in big letters. Alright, that's for provoked. Let's go on to the next skill. So for Berserk, we've got a skill that's going to trade off your attack power for your defense. Now it says 20% and 20% trade-off. I think I changed that. I'm going to double click right here. Yes, no I didn't. It's the same. Okay, so that's right. So for Berserk, we're going to set that in the warrior ability, the scope, the user, on battle screen, certain hit, whatever animation you want. Cooldown of 10, it's an instant ability. It's going to add a state. So let's make that state of Berserk. So Berserk's going to have priority of 40. It's going to last for 5 turns. What we're going to do is change the parameter of the attack power times 120% and change defense by timesing it by 80%. So it's going to take 20% of your defense and give you 20% of your attack power. So this is going to be very similar to the next skill of Defender, which does basically the antithesis of that, or the opposite of that. It's going to take away 20% of your attack power and give you 20% defense. Same thing for everything else. Certain hit, battle screen, the user for the warrior skills. Cooldown 10, instant, and it's going to add the state of Defender. So looking at that state, you can pretty much guess what it's going to do. The exact opposite. It's going to multiply your attack power by 80% and your defense by 120%. So there would be absolutely no benefit to using both of these at the same time. You could, but it would just do nothing. And they're instant, so you could and it wouldn't take up your turn. It'll just time the abilities. So there's no point using both. You have to decide if you want to go on the offensive with Berserk, or do you want to, there's damage coming in, you're about to get hit by a powerful move, go Defender. So it just gives the warrior some flexibility and some options to play on what they want, how they want to handle the battle. Sometimes a good offense is the best defense. So the next ability is War Cry, and this is going to basically buff all allies. It's going to increase attack power by 15% to all allies. It's an instant. They're all instants. Cooldown of 10. Most of them will have that same cooldown. Certain hit, battle screen, warrior ability, and it adds a state of War Cry. So let's look at the state of War Cry. This is a 40 priority. It only lasts 3 turns because it's pretty powerful. It's going to give all of your party members an attack bonus, but it's pretty simple. It just changes your attack parameter by multiplying it by 115%. So very simple ability, but it's a useful one. It's also an instant, so you might want to use that before you can go Berserk, War Cry, and then attack, because you got stack up all your buffs. They will stack. Let's move on to Aggressor. Now, Aggressor is going to increase your accuracy at the cost of becoming more vulnerable to being hit. So your evasion goes down, which is usually a good idea on boss fights because the bosses usually aren't going to miss you. Their accuracy is high enough, and you might have more of a chance to miss them. This is a great ability to use if you get blinded, because it might give you that just enough accuracy bonus to be able to land a hit while you're blinded. So everything's the same. Warrior ability, it's on the user, battle screen only, certain hit, custom animation, and it's adding a state. We've got a cooldown of 10 turns. It's an instant ability. So let's look at that state of Aggressor. 50 priority, lasts 5 turns. It's going to change an extra parameter of evasion rate by negative 15%. And it's going to, because these aren't multiplications, so you don't do 115. These are just changing it by a plus or a minus. So evasion rate minus 15%, hit rate plus 15%. Pretty simple, pretty simple. Let's move on to the next one. Retaliation. So this is going to allow you to counterattack, but it's going to make you, you're going to have less turns if you're using ATB or CTB, but it's just going to basically reduce your agility, and it's going to give you a 20% chance to counterattack. So that's a pretty good bonus. If you're like the last man standing, right? Now, if you have a full party of 6, it's not as strong. May not even be worth using. But if you get down to where there's nobody left but the tank, you know the tank's going to get hit. It's a great ability to have because you're going to keep counterattacking. So everything's the same. Warrior ability is the user, battle screen, certain hit, custom animation, adding a state of retaliation, cooldown of 10, instant ability. Let's look at that state. Retaliation state is priority 40, lasts 5 turns. It's going to multiply your agility by 80%, so change that to 80. Extra perimeter, counterattack plus 20. Like I said, this is not a multiplication one. Whenever it's multiplying it, it's basically above 100 is a buff, below 100 is a debuff. But when it's plus or minus, then it's basically, you don't have to do 120%, you just do counterattack plus 20%, and that's a buff. Alright, so that's retaliation. Next one is Warrior's Charge. This is a great ability. It just simply gives you an extra swing. So, battle screen, the user, warrior ability, certain hit, custom animation, cooldown of 10, instant ability, adds a state of Warrior's Charge. Let's look at that state. Warrior's Charge, attack times plus 1. Really cool function that I'm glad we have. We can just go to attack and then put in an extra swing right there. It lasts 2 turns. So it's an instant, so it says your next turn you can make this 1 turn if you want, or you can keep it 2. I might change it to 1, but right now I'm leaving it at 2 until I feel like the warrior's too strong, but I don't feel like that yet. So that's it for Warrior's Charge. Pretty simple ability. The next one we have is Tomahawk. This is I'm using Skills Cost Items plugin for this one. So this is going to throw. This is an instant damage ability, instant direct damage. So you end up dealing damage and it doesn't even take your turn. But the downside is it has a cooldown of 10. And it costs an item, so you have to buy that item. And what you do is you make that item in the weapons. So I've got a tomahawk or a throwing tomahawk right here. You have to set that as not independent item if you're using the item core. And then you put a note tag. Weapon, and you put the number of the weapon that you've set up, cost, and then a colon, and then how many of those does it cost. So 1. So the damage formula I've got here is A.ATK times 2 plus A.AGI times 2. It's physical damage. I could also do multiple elements now that I think about it. Let's go ahead and do that. Multiple elements. And we want to make this ranged because you're throwing it, right? So 19, 18, 17. So we're going to make this 17. Boom. So it is physical range damage, and it costs an item, consumes an item to use. It's a physical attack, not a certain hit on this one. Scope of one enemy, warrior ability, battle screen, custom animation. Variance of 20, critical hit, yes, why not? It's up to you though. And it's going to add a state, so not only does it deal direct damage, but it also adds a state. So let's look at the state of Tomahawked. Tomahawked is basically going to drop whoever it gets hit by, drop their defense by 20%. So Tomahawk is a really, really good ability to have. It does cost an item, so you can regulate how often the player can use it by making them craft that item or find that item, or maybe even making it kind of expensive. But it's a super bonus for the warrior to have some extra throwing tomahawks, because they can inflict a 5-turn 20% defense debuff on the target, and it's instant damage, and it doesn't take up the warrior's turn. So the warrior can throw a tomahawk and then go hit him 2 times. And the 2 hits will do more damage because the defense has been reduced. So great ability. I've also made a state animation for it, so if a target gets hit by a tomahawk, they'll have an animation play. But I need to change that one because it looks too big, I think. But that's beside the point. Priority for it, 40, it's kind of a low priority. It doesn't really need to be 40 though. You can kind of set it whatever you want. The next one is Restraint. So this is going to add 20% slashing, piercing, and blunt. Slashing, piercing, blunt, and physical potency. So this is Yanfly's element core. But it removes the chance that you're going to land a critical strike at all. It's got a 15 cooldown. It's a little bit longer than the other ones because it does quite a lot, right? It's 20% potency bonus, and it's an instant as well. So we've got a custom animation, certain hit, battle screen, scope of the user, warrior ability, adds a state of restraint. Let's look at that state. Restraint is going to change your critical rate by negative 100%. So you're not going to get any criticals when you're on restraint, but all of your damage is basically going to be increased 20% this. This is the note tag I'm using with Yanfly's element core in order to make that work. So I'll put it up on the screen right here so I don't have to read it out, and you can just copy paste. It should be nice and big for you guys to see. Let's look at the next one. Blood Rage. So Blood Rage is going to enhance critical hit rate and critical damage for the whole party. And I also put that, like what it basically does, in parentheses there. Cooldown of 10, instant ability, custom animation. It's a certain hit, affecting all allies. This is a great ability because it's a group buff. It's like it's just like Warcry. Battle screen, and it adds a state. So let's look at the next state. Blood Rage, 50 priority, lasts 3 turns. Critical rate plus 10%, and we're using Yanfly's critical core plugin. So we're using critical multiplier plus 50%. Super awesome, especially if you have like a thief in the party who gets a lot of critical hits. This is going to do a lot of extra damage for your party for those 3 turns. So the next ability is Brazen Rush. So this is going to basically, it's a simple ability, adds a swing to all melee attacks. So warrior ability, scope of the user, battle screen, certain hit, custom animation, adds a state. It's just got a cooldown of 30. So this is like your high level, your level 96 or level 99 2-hour ability, because later on you start with a 2-hour at level 1, and then towards the very end of the leveling process you get your second strongest ability. And so it's got a 30 cooldown, instant ability. Of course you can change it up however you want. Let's look at the state of Brazen Rush. Brazen Rush, priority around 50%. 5 turn duration is a good thing to have there, and it adds an extra attack. And I've also got a state animation on it because it's like a 2-hour ability. But you can use anything you see in here, completely change it up to how it'll fit in your game. And that's basically it. That's how the warrior functions. You'll have to make that one item, the throwing tomahawk, as a weapon. If you want to use the tomahawk ability, add the states in there, create the class and add the parameters in there. you know, it's a pretty cool ability. It's a pretty cool class to have, and it's got a lot of useful abilities. So I think that's pretty much it. What I could do is set my class as already warrior. What we can do is have the actor start at level 99, and I could just show you all of the abilities in a battle real quick or something. That might be a good idea. Since we're going to be level 99, we won't fight those level 1 that I've done in plenty other videos. Let's go ahead and let's go here, and we'll start the player there, and let's just kind of play around a little bit and just look at the animations I've made for the warrior. And you could create your own custom animations. I've already gone over it several times how to make your animations, copy paste job and change everything up, you know. Alright, so we've got our warrior abilities here. Mighty Strikes, this is going to be our 2-hour ability. So all of our hits, boom, boom, critical, critical. We are level 9, level 99 fighting level 30 stuff, so that's not even a fair fight. We can provoke that, and it's going to put distracted and provoke, so this thing has to hit me. Of course, I'm the only one in the party, so that doesn't really matter. Berserk, that's going to increase my attack power, but you can see it's all instants, right? It's not taking up my turn, it's still my turn. Defender and Berserk at the same time, you never really do that, but I just wanted to show you. So basically, these two cancel each other out. This gives plus 20%, minus 20%, this one gives minus 20%, plus 20%, so they just cancel each other out. Warcry, if I had more party members, it would flash on all the party members, and they'd all get that attack power bonus. Aggressor, we're going to get the accuracy bonus. We're going to lose some evasion, though. Retaliation, we're going to counterattack. Warrior's Charge, we're going to get an extra swing in here. Tomahawk, I actually didn't give myself Tomahawk, so can't do that one. Restraint, we're going to lose our critical hits here, so I don't want to use that one because I put on my 2-hour, right? So all my hits are going to be critical, but if I use Restraint, I'm not going to have that critical hit. Wasting my 2-hour for that doesn't make sense. Blood Rage, enhanced critical rate and critical damage. Ooh, we're already going to get every hit a critical, right? So this is a Blood Rage with Mighty Strikes, super powerful, right? Because this is going to make all of the damage you deal with the critical hit 50% stronger. So you're already guaranteeing all these criticals because of your 2-hour, your 30-turn ability, and now you're 50% extra damage on all of your hits. Brazen Rush will add an extra attack. Oh, we're going to just unleash hell on this guy. 4 hits doing 5 to 6k each with the level 1 sword. Of course, we're level 99, so got some stuff from that. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully you guys like this different kind of content. This is a class spotlight. I haven't done one of these in about, I don't know, a year. It was about a year since I did a class spotlight. So this is the warrior from Final Fantasy XI. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Please like, favorite, share, subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. If you're new here, especially if you like this sort of game development stuff, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at Driftwood Gaming. Yeah, make special requests in the comments below. You guys know what's up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.